something that bothers me about where I live, and this is not just specifically where I live, but just the US as a whole. Almost everywhere here is very car dependent, and I know that's definitely a lot of countries and areas that are like that, but then there's a lot that are not, and they have easily accessed public transportation everywhere, you know, especially if they have like a train system that you can relatively easily just get around from one part to another. And nothing here is very walkable. There's definitely like some more walkable areas depending on where you live. Where I live right now is a small city that has little pockets of walkability. Like if you live in the downtown area, you can walk around a little bit. There's not too much you can even get to, but just because there's not that much there at all. Or just some other little pockets of town that have kind of a main strip that's walkable, and they have some neighborhoods around it and stuff like that. So there's little areas like that, and if you happen to live in one of those places, which are definitely going to be much higher rent, it's a little bit less car dependent, but you still really need one to be able to function well. And I didn't have a car for several years. Throughout college, I didn't have one at all, and I lived in it's not where I live now, but it was a very small town, and they did have a bus system that went around a little bit. You know, I could get the bus to get groceries or kind of run errands type of stuff, but otherwise they didn't really go anywhere. And a lot of what you would want to do in that town would be kind of get out to, it was in the mountains, so just kind of get out to go hiking or just somewhere a little bit further away out of town, because there wasn't much in town. So I felt extremely stuck in a lot of ways living there. You know, I had a lot of friends with cars that, you know, I could kind of like sometimes tag along to things. But I didn't like that I could never plan anything I did requiring a car, which was most things aside from just, you know, walking to class or, you know, walking to a job that had to be within walking distance or on the bus line. Anything I did had to be with somebody else, and I couldn't plan anything. I couldn't, not that I couldn't at all, but it was just more awkward. You know, if you have a car, I could say, hey, does anybody want to go out hiking here or whatever? Go on this trip, go to this place. And without a car, I would have to basically invite someone to do something, but then I'm really just inviting myself to go with them, because I didn't have a car and I couldn't get there on my own. So I almost never did that stuff unless I was invited out to something, just because it wasn't very feasible, and it just felt kind of rude too. Just, you know, I wouldn't want to ask someone to cart me around. So I felt very stuck in college without a car. I got this car I'm driving now. It's an old car from a family member that passed away. And it kind of just ended up being kind of like I have the use for it. It's not It's not even officially my car. It's just kind of, it was an extra car that others in my family didn't need at the time, and I kind of just ended up borrowing it for a while, and then at this point nobody needs it and it's not really worth anything to sell. So I've just got it for now while it lasts. It's 23 years old now. I'm very thankful to have this. I wouldn't be able to afford to buy one if I didn't end up just getting use of one. And where I live now, it's still relatively small, but it's definitely much bigger than my college town. There is public transportation, but it only goes around a little bit. The hours are limited. At most of the jobs I've had have been either too early in the day to use public transportation, or I would get off too late to use it because they only operate during kind of normal hours. So, as far as job availability, if I didn't have a car, that would greatly limit my options. I would have to live somewhere that I could walk to work, which I don't really live in an area like that, or have a job that specifically fit the time frame of public transportation, which would also limit things a good deal. And I've had little pockets of that, especially because this is an old car, so I've had several stints of it just being in the repair shop for several days. And so I would just be back kind of on my own as far as public transportation or walking places. And it just kind of sucked because at best, where I was going was relatively along a bus line that I could get to, and it would just take a very long time to get there, especially because I would, often have to get two separate buses just to get to one place, and then two to come back, or have to use a stop that was about a mile and a half away from where I live, just because that would be the only bus available at the time. There wasn't anything closer to me. But just kind of little things like that. Everything just took much longer. It took a lot more planning. And in those periods, I just didn't do anything else besides work if I had that, and then just stay home. I couldn't, it was just such a hassle to, if it was even possible, such a hassle to get anywhere else. So, like right now, I'm driving to downtown to try and record a couple videos today, and just things like that, or just little kind of spur of the moment trips or anything that's not really necessary. I wasn't able to do at times like that when I didn't have the car. I wouldn't be able to really do it at all if I did not have a car at all. And I think it's just a very bad system, and I know there's lots of people that live here and everywhere else that do not have a car and do not have the means to get one, and just have to basically just use all of their time just trying to get around, if they even can. And I think it's just a shitty way to live. It's a shitty design, how things are here. You basically have to be able to afford the means to go out and then spend more money buying your groceries and necessities and all of that. And people can barely afford that stuff on its own, much less also buying a car, paying for car repairs, gas, all of that. I think it's just a shitty system. I don't like living in it. I'm thankful that for the time being, I mostly have access to a car while it's functioning. I think things would be so much worse if I didn't. Yeah, I think it's just a rough time. It's rough for a lot of people. I don't really have any thoughts on a good solution other than whatever other countries do that they have the infrastructure to build things closer together or build train systems between areas and stuff like that. Something else I've thought about, even when having access to a car, is that everything is so far apart here. You know, there's plenty of places in the U.S. that I would like to go visit and technically could drive there, but things are so far apart that it's not really very feasible to do. It would be much easier. I mean, I can't do anything about the distance, but just if I live somewhere that had a train system or whatever, I could get on that, just bring whatever my day's worth of stuff or day and a night's worth if I'm staying somewhere, get on a train, go to another part of the country, and it could be, you know, relatively close. You know, I know I can't just get a train from like the east to the west coast or something easily, but anywhere around here it just takes hours to drive anywhere that I'm interested in going. There's just a lot of rural areas here, and just to do any type of traveling at all, I have to have a functioning car, and the one I have now, I'm not comfortable taking it any long distance. So first of all, have a functioning car and spend, you know, half a day at least driving somewhere else, and then also having to have the car at that place too, because that place isn't going to be walkable either. So it'll just be another car-dependent place, and then, you know, paying for parking, public parking, and wherever I go, and you know, have to drive in between all the individual places, rather than if it was a more walkable country, you know, could get the train somewhere. That place is going to be a lot more walkable. I don't have to find and pay for parking and deal with all those logistics, and I can just go to kind of a main area and walk around and just be on my own and explore that way, rather than being in a car, to some degree having to look up where to go, just because there's so much distance between everything that I'm not going to be able to see everything just by kind of randomly driving around. So it kind of takes out that exploratory aspect to some degree. Anyway, this has been kind of a rambly one. I wanted to get one video out that I knew was going to be kind of bad before I come down and try and find a more scenic area and maybe talk about something more interesting. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me on this if you made it through here.